Welcome to Make Your Own Fun. I am here with Seattle's own painter extraordinaire, Ginger Martinez. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
Well, I'm excited because I think I just saw the post, was it yesterday or today, that you just recently sold a new painting. So how did that come about? Tell me about
Yeah.
that.
So I just did my first art show in Seattle, and there was this guy there, a younger guy, that just like loved my painting. And he kept coming back around, and I had it like where you just make an offer, and he didn't want to give me an offer. And then he kept coming back around, and he actually followed me on Instagram, never made an offer. And then the next morning, I seen he messaged me about it, and then he made me an offer, and I went to go drop it off to him.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah,
That's
because
really
I don't live
cool.
in Seattle, but I live close to Seattle, so I was like, I'm still here, and I could go drop it off to you, and I really want you to have it. So yeah, that's fun.
It's cool. At
Hmm.
least he wasn't going to be like, look, I can pay you in like Burger King
Yeah,
coupons and like a napkin that says I owe you.
I probably would have taken the coupons.
You're like, look, I got to eat. That's cool.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so well, you just kind of answered my second question. So, I guess I'll just rework that a little bit, which was the show in the gallery. You said that was your first show.
Hmm.
So, I guess let the people know like how that came about. Was that like a long process? Did you have to reach out online or just, you knew somebody who knew somebody who knew a friend of somebody?
Um, so this show is a smaller show. It's called the Pancakes and Booze Art Show. So they actually are making pancakes, and they have a whole bar, and it's a smaller one that I applied to last year, and I didn't get accepted. And so I applied this year, and then they finally accepted me. And I just sent them an email because I seen that they were taking artists for their Seattle show. So I emailed them, and then I did the application, and yeah, they accepted me, and I put three paintings up.
That's
And
awesome
yeah,
because
it was
just
really
when
easy.
when you were describing it, I was like, I think I would just eat there normally.
Yeah.
Are they like a
Yeah,
restaurant? Are they open like more than the weekend or?
no, no, it's they're like a pop-up art show all over the country. So they do everywhere. And they're known to they have this little pancake booth stand, and you just go up and they put pancakes out, and you just put your own toppings. And
You're like, wait, I get my favorite breakfast, I get alcohol, and I can sell my work, and people are gonna look at it and probably, take pictures and put it online. It's like, what's not to like?
yeah, yeah, it was really fun. Everyone was eating pancakes.
So I guess I'll ask you this because I want to pick your brain about this. So how would you define abstract impressionism? I mean, do you have your own spin on that since that's kind of like how you're putting yourself out there as like your focus for your art?
Um, so like with abstract, I honestly didn't know anything about doing it. I just did it. To me, it's based off of the music I'm listening to and the way I'm feeling. So sometimes I'll go to like a feeling or even a past feeling, and I'll focus on that. And then I'll put music on that could help me focus on it. And then I'll start painting. And then I kind of go with that. And that's kind of what it is for me.
That's amazing. That sounds really I guess freeing and like no inhibitions and just kind of like walking into a room and you could either be doing like finger painting or like splatter painting or just whatever the
Mm-hmm.
mood strikes. I kind of picture if you have like drop cloths and like other stuff like hanging around to protect stuff, it's beautifully messy by the end of it.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. So
Mm-hmm.
How would you say, I guess, living in like the Seattle area, like how does that factor into your work? Does the vibe of the city kind of seep in, or just I know the weather's getting colder with the rain and everything. So I feel like just even looking at your art, like that may be like a character that shows up, maybe, just in the background. So
Hmm.
I guess just speak about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I live in like this little small town, like right off the coast. So I do a lot of walks, and that's like a lot of my inspiration for, the water. And I love the cloudiness. I love the rain. It's like my favorite thing, my favorite time of the whole year. Um, and I take a lot of pictures of everything. So then I use that, and I kind of use that like when I'm doing like my paintings of the ocean or outside, I kind of use all that and I put it together.
Very cool, very cool. So would you
Hmm.
say like wildlife kind of, or are you ever I guess, taking a picture and then just a random like person strolls in and you're like, "Sorry, buddy, you're part of the show now." Like you're this little person like in the distance just kind of walking along. You're like, "I didn't consider that before, but it's so
Sure.
intrinsic now. I have to include this guy, walking his chihuahua and drinking his latte that's like barely on the horizon or something." I mean, does that ever happen where you're just like, and then you just blow up the picture, when you look at it later and you're like, son of a bitch. Okay,
Yeah,
well, it's there now. I guess I'm
sometimes,
working on.
yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, where I live, there's not a lot of people walking around. Like it's always just me. I'm just outside by
You
myself.
live on the planet Earth, right? You don't live on the
Yeah,
moon. I'm like, where are you? Where is this
yeah,
magical place that's just
yeah,
nobody?
yeah. It's this really small little town that I don't think a lot of people have heard of outside of Seattle, because Seattle's there's a ton of people everywhere.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, let me ask
Yeah.
you this. So, I guess in terms of mental health, how
Mhm.
does like Seattle's long winter affect your mood and your desire to create? Because I know there's such things as like seasonal depression, and it may not even be just like you yourself, but
Mhm.
your family, everybody around you, everybody's kind of going through this collective like wah wah. So yeah, I mean, do you feel like you're more creative in the winter? I mean, and we get busy with the holidays and stuff, but or do you feel like less of a pull to kind of do it, or what do you think?
So for me personally, I enjoy this weather. Like I love, like I just said, I love the cloudiness. I love the rain. It like makes me happy. But since living here, because I've lived here for about 6 years, and everyone around me gets that seasonal depression where like it starts to get to them. And I mean, I've seen people literally, they're like depressed and they get pale, and they're not as like proactive. And I see it, yes. But for me, I love it. I'm not a summer person. I like the fall and winter.
Oh my gosh, please tell me you're not like what's that movie? High Fidelity, where Jack Black comes into the record store and he's blasting "I'm Walking on Sunshine," and the other guy just broke up with his girlfriend and he's just like this. And he's just like, and you're like, and everybody's just like, "Oh God, there she goes again."
Yeah, yeah.
Is that
Everyone
you?
thinks it's
Is
really
that you
weird. I'm
every
like,
day? Do you
yes, I
even
love
need
this.
coffee in the morning, or are you just
I
like
no, I do.
self-lifting?
No,
Okay, because oh
I
my God, I need caffeine, or I'm
I
just
need it.
if I don't have caffeine, I feel like I'm one of those I don't know what the balloons are called that they always have on the side of the road by like car dealerships that they go like this and then they
Yeah.
come down. Like if I didn't have caffeine, I feel like I'd just be the deflated balloon and people are like, "Well, that's worthless. Why did we pay for that?"
Yeah. Yep. That's how I
Okay,
would feel.
so walk me through your process. So you have your everything set up in the room, you have your
Hmm.
easel, you have your canvas, you have your paint.
Hmm.
Do you paint to music or
Hmm.
just the radio or just a playlist or how do
Um,
you what gets you into that vibe to walk in and start working on something?
I always change the music. Most of the time, I'm listening to like I have this playlist. It's called Jazz Chill, and I just put that on, and it's just a bunch of different jazz music. Right now, I'm doing a painting, and I'm actually listening to a Celine Dion on Pandora.
My eyes got
And
a little bit too big for that reaction. Sorry. I was just like, what?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's
I
okay. Your
love
heart will go on. It's
I
fine.
love I love Celine Dion, and it's like shuffled music of music like her too. So it's like uplifting, and so that's yeah. I mean, it can change from any type of music, but it's mostly jazz or piano
Okay.
that I'm listening to. It that puts
So you're
that puts it.
never on the lower end of the spectrum. You're never on the doldrums. You're never gonna just work in some music by like The Cure or something like that.
Um, I've tried it, and it does. I can't focus, and I love The Cure, and I love 80s and new wave and all that, but I've tried to put it on, and I can't like get something out with
Well,
it.
yeah, I can just imagine you sitting there and all of a sudden you're like, really, Robert? Pictures of you? Oh,
It's a good
uh.
song though.
It is, it's great. But I just imagine you being like distracted by the lyrics and stuff. So,
Yes.
and I feel like on a technical level, the people that are maybe do or have done painting or are painting right now or want to try in the future, they might want to pick your brain and they might want to know what are some maybe like trial and error techniques that you tried that worked for you? Because, I think that whatever the art is, we all learn by mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you're
Sorry.
like shaking the camera. You're like,
Yeah.
it's right now.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, if you're done something like you're working on a piece or whatever, I mean, do you try like different, like really exaggerated canvas sizes to like something that's as small as like a deck of playing cards to something that's like almost like a mural, like the entire side of a wall or something like that, just to kind of get out of
Um,
your comfort zone and be like, you know what? Screw it, I'm gonna try it.
I haven't done a really big painting yet, but I did just buy like probably the biggest canvas, and I'm gonna try it out. It makes me nervous because it's a lot of more detail, and
Right.
I'm more like I'm not a detailed artist. I can't do small little details, but that's what I'm gonna try. That's gonna be my focus right now is to try to do something big and very detailed. So
Yeah, like
I'm
certain things
excited
in
about
life, I don't know how people do it. Like, I don't know how certain artists are able to take a scalpel or something and write calligraphy on a grain of rice. I'm like,
it. Yeah,
you really have to have like a meticulous mind and
I
attention to
can't.
detail and like have that giant like magnifying glass. And I mean, can you imagine holding up like a little piece of rice? I don't know if they have it like the world's smallest vice or something, and they're just doing
Yeah,
this. And then what if you make a mistake? Are you just like ruined? All right,
I
shut down the shop. Everybody, we're done for the day. No, no,
yeah, I
no.
can't.
We're not doing shots at the bar. No. In fact, burn the bar down. We can never recover from this. Like, I don't know how people do that. Like,
Yeah,
it's just a real analytical mind to be able to just something that
mhm.
minute. I don't know. But
It's
in terms of like the larger canvas, I think that for me, the fear that I would have, and I haven't done painting for a while, but I feel like I would start like in a corner and then get closer and closer to the middle and be like, wow, I think I've said everything I need to say about the four directions. So what is
the
happening?
the
Do I just
middle.
paint like a giant, like old school, like sun in the middle of the smiley face? People are gonna be like, this fucking guy, he can't draw hands. He draws them and they're all like misshapen, like his faces are beautiful, the clothes are great, they're flowing in the wind, and then he gets to the hands and they look like claws.
But that could
So
sell.
so is that a fear too of like that one section will just really pop out and the other
Oh
sections will
yeah.
just kind of fade in the background?
Yeah, I've had that where like a part of it looks good, and then I finish it, and I it another part doesn't go with it, and then I'll restart the whole thing and I'll just paint over the whole thing.
Have you ever painted something and you're just like, why? I don't remember that being in the photo. Why did I paint that? Like, why did I
Hmm.
paint French fries? Am I just freaking hungry? And I'm just
Yeah.
like trying to manifest it just to reach out and grab them and be like, I don't know. Some people do that. Some people, I mean, whoever you want to pull the name from the past, like Basquiat or something, where there's just things going on in the background. Like, have you gone to a museum and looked at a painting many, many times, and then one time you go in and you look at it and you're just standing there doing that stereotypical pose, like rubbing your shin
Hmm.
and being like, wait a minute. And then like you get as close as they'll legally let you or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And you look at it and like I remember one time, I don't know if I think I was in LA and I went to the a Modern Museum of Art and I saw a Jackson Pollock painting. And I don't know, I think when I was younger I just really dismissed all of his stuff because I was just like, well, it's just splatter. But then like when I
Hmm.
actually got to see it and got like basically, for lack of a better term, like up on it. And
Hmm.
then I just saw all the layers and it had like
Hmm.
this crazy focus, like perspective, depth to it. And I went,
Hmm.
how, wait, but I, and it's just, but I, like, I can't do that. Like, what? And
And
then I remember looking at the tour guide and she was so nice. She was so patient. But I went to her and I'm like, but how did he? And she just was standing there and she had like some kind of a snack and she was eating it and she went, I know, right? And that was her response. And I'm like, okay, that
no,
track. I'll
I
take
need
that.
a better response.
Yeah, but have you had a similar experience where you've gone maybe and looked at something more than once, and then just one time it's something different clicked, and it's not that the painting or the sculpture or whatever it was changed,
Hmm.
something in you changed, you know?
Hmm. Yeah. Um, I mean, like with my art or with,
Or just in general, yeah,
oh,
like
just in
you've had any
general.
kind of experience like that.
Uh, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I haven't really gone out and looked at a lot of art in general.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It'll be out there
I
waiting for you when you finish your film.
yeah. Yeah. I haven't gone out in the world like that yet.
No, it's cool. Well, I mean, I lived in LA, so it was close by, so that was how I got to go and see stuff
Oh,
like
did you? I live
yeah,
in
I
LA
lived in
too.
LA for like 20 years. I just moved to South Carolina this year, so it's a little bit of
Oh,
culture shock. It's just a little bit smaller
yeah,
world where
it
everything
is.
closes at 5 o'clock, and I'm just like, okay, I guess I'm done for the night, and it's time to watch Netflix and fuck off. Okay, so that's what's happening.
That's funny.
It's just it's one of those typical it is what it is things. So let me ask you this. So
Hmm.
having painted several paintings in your life,
Hmm.
how do you maybe it never gets to this point, but how do you know when a painting is done, at least enough that you're comfortable to show it to people? Is there a certain point where you're like, I have to get up and walk away, make sure the
Hmm.
circulation is still working in my legs or whatever? You know what I mean? Do you just know intrinsically, like in yourself, like, okay, I want to get a second opinion and I got to walk away from this. I don't, they say like paintings are never done. So that's
Hmm.
kind of why I wanted to pick your brain. And do you have that feeling when you
I
know?
so what I'll do if I feel like, okay, I might be done, is I'll leave it alone for for a couple days, and then I'll come back and I'll look at it. And most of the time, I feel like, okay, I'm done. I can't do any more to it, or now I've added too much. There's too much going on. Or sometimes I'll come back to it in a couple days. I'll be like, that looks kind of bland. There's something else. There's
Needs an
has to be
accent
something.
or something.
Or I'll ask someone, I'll be like, what do you think of this? Should I add more? Or is it good the way it is? So yeah, most of the time I feel good about them.
Yeah.
That's how I know.
I've had experiences where I've written something and I've come back and then I'm like, oh, I'll come back to this. And I just needed to take a break from it. And a telltale sign, this hasn't happened in the last couple of years, but back in the day, I had this thing and I never realized it. I'd write like a story or something and be like, "Oh, I got this thing. Oh, well, I'll just come back to it." And for whatever reason, I never planned on it, but there I can always tell in like a short story or something I would write like, "Oh, well, this character's doing something. Well, I'll just," and then I would come back to it and I'm going, "Why did I feel like she was being chased by this monster, but then she wanted to take a nap?" Like, what was I? Was I just like, screw it? This is how I have to pause my creative whatever and come back, and I would come back to it, and I'd be like, I didn't
Yeah,
even
that
leave
doesn't make sense.
myself like a thread of like, where is she gonna get a weapon? Is she gonna like get hurt? Like, is someone else gonna come in and fix this, or is the creature like someone she knows? And it was like, no, it's nappy time. So have
Yeah.
you have you had that happen where maybe like a life event happens and you're in the middle of working on it, and does that like just piss you off to the point where, not as like a mom or a friend or whatever, but like
Mhm.
as an artist where you're just like, ugh, like because you just want to chase that feeling, that creative impulse, and then when you come
Yeah.
back to it, is it
Mhm. You
really
don't.
hard to find that, or you just pick it right
Oh,
back up?
it could be hard. Yeah. And that's why it's hard. Like, yeah, I have to keep trying to come back to the same feeling, and like it's not always the exact same thing as when I
No.
was first feeling it,
Yeah, you're never in that same mood,
Mm-mm.
the same day, the same time, the same
No.
clothes. The coffee could have hit you different in the morning.
Yes.
Have you ever like been sitting across from somebody like at a meal or just hanging out with a friend having coffee or something, and then I get what you call, well, I call it a lightning zygote idea lands in your brain. Are you ever in the middle of either you yourself are saying something or the other person is saying something, and you're like, and then you have to like doodle something so you don't lose the idea. Has that ever happened? And the person's like, "Are you having like verbal diarrhea? Like, what is wrong with
No,
you?"
I actually have never done that. No, I'll
It will
just keep it.
happen.
I'll
It
keep
will
it in my
happen. At
mind.
some point, you're going to be
Yeah.
somewhere and you're going to get this amazing idea and it's going to wash over your face. And that person's going to either think you're having a stroke or that you really need to go to the bathroom or some like you got some message on your phone that's some horrible emergency. But it's always just this and you can't even like articulate it, and they're just like, I don't speak. What is that? I don't. Do you need like?
I
Are
need a
you
paper.
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you this, because I'm guessing you have been painting for a while. Are there any other like artistic outlets that you've wanted to get into or try that you haven't yet?
Um, Writing,
Okay.
that's considered artistic, yes.
God, I hope so.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm screwed.
Um, yes, writing. Uh, I like to write, and I've tried, I mean, I've started like, about my life.
Hmm.
Um, and I probably started about 3 years ago, but I know nothing about writing a book, and even like writing a book about yourself. I'm just kind of like writing it like as if it's a diary.
That's perfect. Don't let anybody tell you you're doing it wrong because
Yeah.
there's no right
I
way.
I haven't shown it to anybody, but I have started it, and
Awesome.
it's something that I will finish.
Yeah, even
I
if I
really.
never see any of it, I will be your virtual cheerleader and I will say like just keep at it, just a little bit a day.
Mhm.
Squirrel it away or whatever, or if you're just using notebooks or the notes, thing on your phone.
I'm typing it. Hmm.
Oh,
Hmm.
nice.
Yeah.
Very, very deliberate.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm
You're
just
like,
typing
I don't need whiteout people.
it.
Um,
Yeah.
um, oh God, I don't know what I'd do without the backspace on the computer because I'm just typing away and no, my keyboard isn't at my chin, but um,
Yeah.
and I'll just go. I'm like, yeah, and then I'll go get a drink or from the fridge or something and come back, and then I'll scroll up and I look what I wrote, and I was like, these
Hmm.
are supposed to be English words. What was I?
I know none
Okay,
of it
thank
makes
goodness for
sense.
spell check.
Yeah, none of it is spelled right.
So have you had conversations with other painters about like their process? And when you're describing like what you do or whatever, are you ever like, wow, that sounds really like you're talking to the other person and they're describing it. Are you ever thinking to yourself, like, wow, they make it sound so easy. Like they don't have to go through any like internal struggle or get like inspired. Like, I don't know. Some people, it's like they say it's like painting a house. They just go outside and they just, go along and do it. But um, are you ever awakened at night or have trouble going to sleep when you have a great idea? Or have you ever gotten up in the middle of the night and been like, this has to happen. I need to get this out of me. Like, has it?
No,
What?
no, I have not.
Oh, wow. I guess
No,
it's just I'm the messed up one.
I, I love, no, I need to sleep.
Well, I need sleep too, but these ideas won't, I don't know what it is. It's
But
being a creative person.
I have been up in the middle of the night thinking about something that I want to paint. And then I'll be like, okay, Ginger, just hold on to that. And then I'll go back to sleep and then I'll come back to it the next
I
day.
love that you refer to yourself in the third person. That's awesome.
Yes.
Like, for whatever reason, my inner voice or whatever, I don't know. I always call myself by my last name, and I always like, I'm not on some sports team. I don't know why I do that. Like I'm like a coach or something like Lawson, get your head in the game. And I'm just like, there's
Yeah.
no field, there's no what game, but I'm always, I don't know why. I think it's just that motivating thing. Like, I don't know if you saw online like a couple months ago, I had to put this like note on my fridge where because I was trying to like work on this poetry manuscript and I was just like, did you write a poem today, motherfucker? And it was like, but every time I would go to the fridge and like,
That's,
yeah, I should go do that.
yeah,
And
that's
then
your
I didn't wasn't
motivation.
like, maybe I didn't even have an idea, but do you have to plant little, I don't know, what do you want to call them, like member berries or just something around your house where it's like reminders of like, hey, I'm gonna have this 2 or 3 hour block of time where I'm alone that I can focus. Do you have to schedule your creative time?
I do. I don't put it up in my house, but I do have to schedule my time because I have two kids and I work as well. I'm not just a full-time artist, I work. And so, like, I probably get about 30 minutes a day to paint.
Are you
Yeah.
in there like a Tasmanian devil? Like when you do have that time, you're like,
Yeah. I'm like, I need to do
and then
this
you're just like,
now.
or are you just like,
Yes.
well, I'll do a corner today.
It depends. Sometimes I'm like, I have this picture in my head. I'm like, I need to get at least like a sketch of it out right now in this 20, 30 minutes. And then sometimes I'll just take my time.
Yeah. Have
Depends
you
on my mood.
thought about like splatter painting or doing something where it is, strokes or a bucket of or a half bucket of something and just trying to see what happens with like a drip down effect? Or I don't know if that's too much to clean up of a drop cloth.
Uh, I do want to do that, but I don't have the space for it right now. I paint in my basement, and the basement is turning into a bedroom. So I don't like I can't just splatter paint everywhere, but I want to, and I will someday because that's what I want to do.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's so cool.
and it's heartbreaking for me too whenever I see like books, forgotten in the trash or people's houses that are just, dilapidated. You find old books. And does it ever break your heart whenever you walk by or drive by or something when like a mural is crumbling or they're going to knock down a building that has a beautiful mural on the side of it? Because it's like something like that, unless it's just very costly to the city or
Hmm.
whatever institution it is to just come in and lift it up and take it to a museum. That hardly ever happens. But I think
No.
as artists, there's some part of us that feels like, well, I want this to be forever. I want this thing that I made, this part of me, to be evergreen and wherever
Hmm.
it was that I did it. Because it's something about like we hope that the art like outlives us, on a certain
Hmm.
level. And
Hmm.
we're like, well, I want it to just go on. So I don't know. Like the older I get, the more I'm like, well, I hope that something I do has like a lasting effect. I mean,
Oh
have you thought
yeah.
about stuff like that?
Yes, yes, that's my goal. And that I think that's why like I tell my story with my art so that it leaves a lasting impression on whoever owns it later on, you know?
Right.
That's been my goal, yes. Mm-hmm.
Um, and also circling back to like mental health, um, so other people you have encountered in your life, that maybe don't know that they have options if they're going through a rough time. Have you had conversations with anybody where you're just like, hey, if you need an outlet, any of the creative fields, like just fumble your way through it. Like don't even like look for instructions. Just get it out of you because so many people have so much pent up inside, whether it's like childhood trauma that they're still dealing with, or substance abuse, or homelessness, or abusive relationships, or car accident, or whatever they've
Mm-hmm.
survived.
Hmm.
They just, it's like it's gonna build up and eat away at them. And I don't know, have you been able to like talk to some people and like say like, hey, you've got options, like you can do this, like don't even ask, just
Right.
do it.
I have. I've talked to a couple different women actually that were going through like their sobriety journey and also we're dealing with childhood trauma and you know i I do let them know like you know there's always an outlet. You could take a walk, even if you're not going to paint or write, just go outside and take a walk, or go just go out into nature. I think that is like the best solution. And then try to write or just read a good self-help book. I think
Hmm.
that helps a lot with anybody going through that. Besides just painting and writing, like those things obviously help. They help me, but um, that's what I try to help tell people what to do if
I also
they're
kind of feel
asking.
like expanding the group of people that you interact with on a normal basis, on an everyday, maybe not an everyday, but at least like on a weekend kind of situation, because we are like creatures of habit, and we've the older we get and the like core friend group and stuff, we find ourselves talking about the same things, the same songs, the same bands, the same TV shows, the same
Mm-hmm.
movies, the same shared life experiences. Like, and then if I think, and this is something I found as I'm getting older too, I got a little bit concerned, I think, when I hit 40 and I realized like, man, I need to shake this up a little bit. I mean, I had been going to open mics and hanging out with new people. That was cool. But a lot of my older friends, because I'm originally from Ohio, and there's something wrong with them. It was just like whenever I was talking to them on the phone or an email or a text or something, it was like a lot of it was, hey, remember that thing? That was so
Mm-hmm.
funny. Oh, yeah, that one time. That was so cool. And it's like, well, I haven't been in that state to create the new memories. But the more I felt like, especially when I was in California, when I first moved there, I was like, oh, this is almost like reinventing myself from the ground up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that with our friend groups, there's an expression that people use like easy friends, like where you can just relax and be yourself and
Mm-hmm.
blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. And that's great. I'm all for the, like you being able to just get rid of your work stress and your bills or your car
Yeah.
breaks down or whatever. But I think something is missing where people don't realize, like, yeah, some of these horrible events that we have, your car breaks down or you lose a
Mm-hmm.
job or you move or whatever it is, actually need that stuff. Not every day. No,
No.
please, no. But I
Yeah.
mean, like,
Yeah.
that's how we grow. And people
Bro.
just
Yes.
forget that because they get so rigid in their comfort zone that
Yes.
any little perceptive change, they're just, oh,
Yeah.
oh, and then they lash out because they're afraid of change. And it's like, well, if
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have change, like if our body didn't create new cells every day,
Mm-hmm.
we'd be
Mm-hmm.
dead. So I think that's just this, I don't know, I want to say it's like a fairy tale of like a cookie cutter perfect existence that's supposed to be a family of four living in a cookie cutter, two-story house, two garage, two cars, white picket fence. And I'm like,
It's
No,
not
I don't want
like
any of
that
that because
now.
it's not real. Even like in the
Yeah.
1950s, that was just like a facade.
Yeah, yes.
So yeah, I just wanted to pick your brain about that for a second.
Hmm.
And, do you have similar experiences in your life where you're constantly looking for something new, something different?
Yes, definitely. Like you, I mean, I grew up in LA. That's where I'm originally from.
Where did you
Um,
live in LA?
Whittier.
No way. I
Yeah.
well for quite a while I lived in Fullerton.
Oh,
And
wow.
then
Yeah,
right
that's
before I made my escape, which I have a whole book about it.
yeah.
I lived in Long
That's
Beach, which was I love Long Beach, but my experience was not the best for like the last,
really.
yeah, it was
Oh.
pretty bad. I love Long
Mm,
Beach, but yeah, it was just a bad experience and I had to get out for my own good.
mm.
But yeah, I lived all over LA, but yeah, I had a lot of good experiences. I know some people in Whittier, so Whittier is a good town.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Small
Yeah.
world, right?
Yes, very.
So
Yeah.
what
So,
brought you to Seattle? Was it work? Was it
no,
opportunity?
no. I went through something. I mean, I've had a lot of traumatic experiences, but I went through something very traumatic. And, I never thought about moving ever. I was like, I'm gonna be here forever in Whittier. This is where I'm gonna live.
Y-
But my sister actually had moved up here a couple years before me. And when this event happened, I was like, I need to get out. I need to get away. I need something new. And so I just up me and my son and we moved up here. And
Awesome.
it's been the best decision.
I'm so proud of you for doing that because
Mhm.
I was in a similar situation. It was really hard for me to leave my daughter with her mom in California. We hadn't been
Mhm.
together for years, but I just knew that she was going to get a great education in Orange County.
Oh yeah.
And for
Yeah.
me, going through like about a homelessness, like I just couldn't take care of her even
Mhm.
with 50-50 custody. Just it was
Yeah.
horrible. And so I had to have some friends basically like rescue me and get me on a plane and get me out of there. Like I was like between shelters.
Oh
I got
wow.
jumped a couple of times. I mean, I got
Oh,
kicked in the
I
head
mean,
and stabbed and it was bad.
being homeless in LA is not.
No, no. But I mean, I'm here to tell you that like what was the good about the experience is for me to like carry that with me and like help other people and say like, hey, you've got options. As long as you can get your life together and get your ID and go to social services and get a with a
Hmm.
social worker, get work. I mean, I'm definitely obviously doing
Yeah.
okay.
You're doing pretty
I'm
good.
not
Yeah.
living like hand to mouth or whatever. And like I said, so I'm right there with you. Like I think people get so afraid that they shut down and they think that they have no options and that
Hmm.
no one is listening or they'll judge. Well, screw the naysayers. Like you have it within you to do amazing things. And
Hmm.
one of the reasons why when I saw your work online, I just like connected with it and I just felt like this artistic kinship. And I was just like, and I know it's a cliche, but I was like, this woman is the real freaking deal. I feel like your artwork comes from a place of honesty. And there's also like this like unbridled joy where you're just like, I don't know, other than it's not written on any of your artwork, but I just whenever I would see the paintings and you're doing the really cool reveals that you're doing with the
Yeah.
canvases, it's on your face and it's on the painting where it's just this one word. It's not even written there. It's just this huge implied like, yes.
I like
Well,
that.
I don't know if it's like a relief or a
Hmm.
release of
Hmm.
all this pent up whatever.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
yeah, and I was just like, yes, like yes to your yes, because I'm like, I get it.
Awesome.
I've been there when you're just like you have this thing and then you're putting out into the world and you're revealing it for the first time. It's just like
Hmm.
so
It
if
does
no
feel
one has
like that.
told you this today, Ginger, like I am so damn proud of you. You're doing
Thank
amazing
you.
things.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah. Um, Well, I guess we've been rapping for a little bit, so I guess we can wrap it up here. But I really wanted to give you a platform and just let the folks know like what's coming up next for you and kind of the immediate future, and where can people find your work online?
Okay. Um, Gosh, right now I'm just kind of no, actually, I'm actually working on more work that is a little more light. I don't know if you've seen it, but I've started to work on them where
Hmm.
they're not so much about the past and my trauma, but about what my life is like now
Which is awesome.
in the happy stage of your healing journey, you know?
Like to me, like when you first clicked on for the Zoom, I was so happy to see as you have this amazing face and the way your hair frames your glasses and stuff. But I'm like, oh wow, I love the yellow wall. It just looks like because I'm missing sunshine here because it's like almost 9 o'clock at night. So I'm like, God, that's just like literally it's like a ray of light. I'm like, ah,
I know I was like, gosh, this
you're
is the
like
only wall
something
I
that
could use
doesn't look
right
like
now.
a dark dungeon. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool in here.
Nice. So,
Yep.
yeah,
Hmm.
so I know you've got a lot of work online. Oh, and I believe you have an Etsy too, right?
I do. Um, it's mostly for my prints.
Okay.
I sell prints of my work. I'm working on a website right now, like for my work, so you could actually see it, but I sell everything through Instagram. I share everything on Instagram. So
So you
that's
want
what,
people to like be funneled like right to your Instagram.
oh yeah,
And remind the
please.
folks what your Instagram is.
Ginger Leanne Art.